What is the mindset of a protector? One thing alone can make the difference between failure and success: your mindset. This podcast was created for protectors in the fields of law enforcement, security, and executive protection. Tune in every week where we look in the mirror to make real changes and learn how to achieve greatness by tapping into the Sentinel mindset. This episode is brought to you by The Arena. The Arena focuses on helping law enforcement and security professionals achieve their ultimate work experience, curriculum, and fitness goals. Visit thearenatoronto.com.
What's up, everyone? Hope you're having a fantastic day. We are here today live at The Arena, and we got a very special episode today. We have here some incredible talent from York Regional Police. To my very far right, we have Constable Julie Thompson. We have here also to my right, Amaree Watkis, and we have here Gissell Arevalo. Did I say that properly, by the way?
Arevalo.
Perfect. I usually butcher names, but today I did well. Now, we're gonna be talking today and diving a little bit deep into their stories, but also today's segment is gonna be focusing on the physical. It's a big part of what you need to do to get onto the police service. Many people struggle with it because they just think it's something that's super easy, you can kind of just jump in. But today we're gonna focus a little bit about that. So first of all, let's start with you, Julie. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well, thank you. Thanks for asking.
Amazing. So first of all, the first time I think, it's my first time meeting you both. And I'll say that your energy is, I can feel that right off the get-go, that you guys have a passion to serve. I can sense that. It's not even like something I'm just saying that. We talk about energy. It's a very big thing. So tell me, what was it for you, why you wanted to get into policing?
Yeah, so actually policing is my second career. So
Okay.
I got into policing at age 33, which is a little bit older.
Okay.
But I think that's changing. And before that, I used to work in a school. I was a child and youth worker. So I knew I always wanted to be in a position where I could serve people. As a child, I wanted to be a nurse. And then that changed as I got older. And I loved working in the schools. Loved working with kids, but I just wanted something different. And policing was always something that I was considering. But my son, who's 23 now, he was only 3 at the time when I was initially considering it. And I didn't want to leave him at that age. And 2 years later, he got older and I reconsidered it. And I said, you know what, I think this is the time. But for me, it's always been about being of service and helping people. I feel that's just innate. That's something that's within my soul.
Okay.
And something that I will do for the rest of my life.
Okay. And in addition to what you do with policing, when I understand, you're also a yoga instructor?
I am,
Not
yeah.
just.
Not just.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm a yoga instructor and I'm a
Amazing.
mindful and meditation
Most definitely.
facilitator as well. And I think mindfulness is such an important practice for anybody to have, not just somebody who's considering a life in policing. Mindfulness just allows us to drop into this moment and to be present within this moment. So we live in a society where everything is instant, and if we don't get something right away, we create a story about that. But mindfulness for me is just being present with whatever's showing up, whether it be pleasant or comfortable, and can I sit in that discomfort? Because I really believe the only way out is through. And sitting in it allows me to discover something about myself. It allows me to go within, and it allows me to know that I can get through, right? Because the only person that's going to help me is myself. So if I can sit in this, learn something about myself, learn maybe why this is showing up for me and move through that, I think I show up better for myself. I show up better for the people that I work with. I show up better for my family. So that what mindfulness is, it's not about liking everything that happens, or when something bad happens, I should be happy about it. It's just about, okay, this is happening. Can I pause? Can I take a breath? Because the breath is so important. So can I take a breath and can I just be in this moment right here, right now? And if it's for 5 seconds, for 5 seconds. If it's for 30 seconds, it's for 30 seconds. But can I just sit with whatever's coming up for me in this moment?
That's amazing. I'll tell you this, I've tried yoga before and I've kind of failed at certain moves because it's very difficult.
Yeah.
But what I will say is you said something that's very big. So the world of policing, the job itself, very stressful. A lot of things are thrown at you all the time. And I'll tell you this, I'm 46 years old.
You look great,
And
brother.
thank you.
Great.
Thank you. As I age more and more, the value of mindfulness that you said, and setting that time to just be still and be able to breathe, or sometimes if I'm about to do a presentation, breathing exercises, this is huge for your mental well-being, also stress levels, all these things. And you hear them all the time, stress is a killer. You don't want that to kind of take you out slowly, right? So what you're saying is incredible from that
Spot on.
perspective.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And just policing is so dynamic. You could just be having a regular day and then you get this rig call and everything changes within a second. So it's about just even taking some breaths on the way to that call and doing that call, and then after that call, having something that will bring you back down, because you don't want to stay in that hypervent state all the time, because it's not good for your nervous system. So being able to ride those waves, right, coming back down, something happens, okay, I'm gonna, my adrenaline's gonna take me up, and then once that call is over, recognizing that I'm not in danger anymore, and just bringing myself back down to this present state, to this present moment. So I think we can all use that, not just people in policing, but everybody. And they're doing it in schools. I do it with my kids. I feel that it's probably something that they should be implementing at the school levels for our children when they start kindergarten.
Okay.
Yeah.
I feel like you need a witness. I'm a witness.
Yeah.
You need to do that and get
I'm
it on
inspired.
paper.
Yeah, I've seen you for many years, and I'm just sitting here inspired.
That's great.
Good stuff.
Tell me a little bit about what you're doing right now with York.
Yeah, so right now I feel really blessed. I'm in a position, I work out of the wellness unit. So I'm an embedded peer supporter. So I work at a district, and my job is to support members accessing internal and external supports that will support their wellness. So when we think of somebody's wellness, the physical component is very important, but we also look at their spiritual wellness, their social wellness, and their biological wellness and their psychological wellness. So finding or helping members find services that are specific to them that will address all of that. Because yes, the physical part is important as well, but so is your mindset, right? So how do you talk to yourself? What stories do you say to yourself? When you do something and you're not successful, are you kind and compassionate to yourself, or do you beat yourself down? Because sometimes, like, our internal dialogue is so bad, and we would never talk to somebody we care about in that way, but yet we talk to ourselves like that. So what you say to yourself, what you put in yourself, the people that you hang around with, your belief systems that you have, all of that plays a part in it. What supports do you have outside of policing? Because when you get into policing, you need to have an anchor. You need to have someone that will pull you, I call it, out of that vortex, because it will happen. You will go to those calls. Your life will continue to move on. You may have a family that you're dealing with. So all of that. So when you're dealing with all of that, what do you have to pull you back to that baseline, to bring you back home, to ground you? And it's really about creating that foundation before you get into policing, so that when you get there and the storms come, because we all experience storms, that's part of life, right? Who can you turn to help bring you back home, to remind you about your true self, who you are, why you started this job, and just bring you back home, I like to say.
I love what you're saying, because it applies not only to just the existing people in the service, but people that are looking at getting into the service. I mean, we're going to be focusing on the physical today. Many people feel that. When you feel that, do you just give up? Do you just back off? Or do you look at it as Kim? I had an opportunity to interview her last week, and she says failure is an important part of the journey,
Absolutely.
right? It defines you. So this is fantastic what you're saying.
No,
okay,
absolutely.
we're going to pause right now, because
no
I want to get
problem.
into I want to jump right
You're
here to Amaree. Yes.
Man. You're fantastic, brother.
So Amaree here right now,
Yes,
who
sir.
I've also had the pleasure of connecting with. You've been on right now for 24 years?
20 years, brother.
20 years.
But I look great, though.
You do look great.
Thank
You
very
do
much.
great.
Thank you very
So for
much.
yourself, what was it for you that wanted to get into the service?
So to be honest with you, Brother Costa, for me, I have an aunt, and I'm going to give her flowers now. Her name is Ingrid Berkeley Brown, and I have an uncle as well. They both retired from the Peel Regional Police. My aunt has been on for just say over 30 years, my uncle as well. So he retired as a detective, I believe he was in the IDENT unit. But my lovely, amazing aunt that I love to death, she had retired as a deputy chief. And her claim to fame was she was the first black female to be of that rank in Ontario's history. So that's huge. So for me, as I said, I remember growing up, living in Jane and Finch. I remember this time specifically, and I don't know why, but it just is like one of those core memories. I was in my house, like at my in my apartment. My mom had answered the door, and my aunt came in, and the smile that she had, it was probably one of the biggest smiles that I've ever seen, and it was because she was so excited. And the reason why she was excited, because that day she had received her firearm. And back in the day, it was way different than it is now. They carried it around in handbags. Like, that is way different. So I'm obviously dating myself.
Yes.
So I don't remember the exact conversation that was had, but my mom answered the door. My aunt came in. She was holding this purse. And once again, she had this huge smile on her face. And I've always looked up to her, whether or not she knows this, and I have nothing but love and admiration for her. She came in, and I was just looking and trying to figure out what was going on at the age of 5. But what I got was that she had gotten her equipment, and she was excited about beginning a new chapter in her life towards becoming a law enforcement agent or an officer, and she was successful. So she was just explaining to my mom everything that it took for her to get to where she was at. And the biggest look on her face of joy, and the one thing I remember her saying was to my mom, hold this bag. And my mom, love her to death too, she's very dramatic.
Yes.
As she's holding the bag, she's like, oh, this is very heavy. So my aunt proceeds to tell her what's in the bag, and they have a conversation. And it was that, for me, was the starting point. It's something that I've always known that I wanted to do as a youngster. Like, it's either the firefighter, the doctor, those type of things. I don't like school, like, we're gonna be honest.
Yeah,
like, I know it's important,
right,
but school wasn't my thing.
Right.
So knowing to be a lawyer, to be a doctor, like, it requires you to be dedicated to school. And I just was honest with myself that it wasn't something, like, I like it, I knew it was important, but just, I didn't see myself being in school for longer than I kind of needed to. So just from back then, you know what I mean, just would always, from time to time at family events, barbecues, cookouts, whatever, you know how we do it. So, and at any events, we would be there, and I would just talk to her, always want to find out how her day was and what made her tick. And even as she progressed through her career and getting promoted, I was always championing her. And the same thing for me. Like, you know what I mean? So a lot of people probably don't know that I do have an aunt there, but I said I'm extremely proud of her, and I can say that she was my inspiration. And then through life, there's another gentleman that I'm going to give him his flowers as well. His name is Julian Elliott. He was a mentor of mine. So I met him when I was 18 years old, thinking I knew everything, didn't know a damn thing. Was working at Zellers. I was probably top notch.
Right?
Shout out to
You have to
Zellers.
hear this. Top notch LP. Nobody told me this. I just thought it myself. So you know what I mean? I met him and another individual, but Julian, from back at the tender age of 18, kind of took me under his wing, and he said truths to me that I needed to hear. And I remember one thing that stuck out in my mind. I applied with Toronto back in 03, and I think it was about April. So I go in with the interview. Great people, just it was a different time, and I now know that I did the right thing. Like, I obviously went and did my thing, tried to be successful, wasn't successful, talked to my mentor, Julian Elliott, and advised him how the day went. And I said to him, I was a little discouraged. And I said to him, you know, and it was about April, May, and I said to him, you know what? I'm gonna wait till December of that year. So it would have been December of 04, I said 03, but it's actually 04. I was gonna wait till December for me to try again. And he said to me, Amaree, if you do, you can do this, but if you do wait, I'm never gonna talk to you again. I thought he was joking. I said, no, brother, man, I'm gonna.
It's a good way to
He's
push
like,
you.
no, Amaree, I'm telling you straight, if you do not do this, I'm never gonna talk to you again. And what it was that he told me to do was, because we didn't know about York, and I say we, like he started in Halton. I started in Zellers doing my thing. Zellers back then, so I'm dating myself as well. So as I said, he found out the great things that York was doing back then. We're talking back in 04. So this is a long time ago that York's been doing their thing. So he, I guess somebody had told him about it, and obviously him being my mentor, somebody that I hold in very high esteem, just like my aunt, he said, Amaree, once again, like, you need to do this. Like, they're doing great things, and this is me telling you. So I said, okay. I thought about it for a second because he said it to me for a third time. Again, Amaree, if you wait till December, we're done. So I said, all right, Julian, I'm gonna do this. Literally, man, I did what I needed to do. He mentored me. He had me out there running, doing my thing. He's great. Like, I was doing my thing, man. Like, I still probably owe him a couple push-ups, a couple laps, but we won't let him know that. But so he just took me under his wing, mentoring me, doing my thing, just getting me ready, not only physically, but mentally prepared for what it took, because he's been doing it at that time for a number of years, and he knew what it entailed. So I went with York, and I remember the individuals that interviewed me was a gentleman by the name of Dan Landgraf and Paul Chang. I have nothing but love for those individuals, specifically Paul Chang, because he has taught me a lot throughout my career, my professional career. So I went in for the interview, and as I said, and to be honest, back then, it was way different.
Way more difficult.
If I can speak frankly, it was more of an interrogation where now it's a conversation. So it's way different. But so ultimately, I've had some great people in my life, and even now, as I said, in my 20 years of service, like, I'm absolutely loving it, man. Like, I can't stress it enough.
You can see that. You can see that. It's not.
He's
an
always
act.
like that,
That's
though. That's his
awesome.
baseline.
Yeah. But can I tell you something? I heard something the other day about the energy, being around people. So look, I don't know how true these stats are, but I can say from my experience, when you're around people that are positive, when you're around people that have like high energy, it's very contagious. The same thing could be said about when you're negative, right? So for me, I flee from negativity because I don't want to have that cast near me, right? So I think these are powerful things that you're saying. You had some incredible influences that put you in the place here. Now, let's just throw this out to you guys both, and feel free to answer. A lot of people are looking to getting onto the service, okay? And a lot of people are applying, and they are failing, okay? And the thing is, the reality is that, maybe they're not prepared enough, or maybe they just didn't put their best foot forward, or whatever the situation is. What advice would you give people that are experiencing failure?
So I can.
Yeah.
So for me, in the role that I'm doing, so I said I'm currently assigned to the uniform recruiting unit, specifically as an outreach. I say specialist.
Yes.
He
So I'm going with
specializes.
that.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Outreach specialist.
yeah.
Like, but outreach, okay, I'm
Yeah,
taking
yeah.
it, I'm taking it.
Yeah.
But as on a serious note, it's like one thing that, as I said, like there's individuals in my office that are pros at this. I'm just kind of, you know what I mean, just being inspired by the work that they're doing and just hearing things that they say. But one of the things is we don't fail you. It's not that York Regional Police or any sort of service or York or anybody fails individuals. It's their preparation and their motivation and their drive. So if you come prepared and you do what you need to do, you will be successful. And a lot of times what we see is individuals coming in and thinking they can game the system. So like not being honest or lying through omission, those things are things of integrity. And obviously that's a big thing with being a police officer. So that's the
Right.
very first thing that within our unit that we look at, because we also think of, like, if I'm dealing with you as an applicant and there's certain things that I know because I'm a background officer and this is what I do, I investigate. If there's certain things that I know and I want you to say it because I want to build that trust with you. I want to build that integrity, and exactly, I want you to be accountable. And you're not saying it, and we both know that you know what went on. How do you work with somebody like that? Like, it's
Exactly. How does that
difficult.
translate into the
Exactly,
position?
because at the end of the day, like, we're all recruiters, as you all hear, but we all own the people that we're bringing in. And when it comes to the community, like especially a service like York Region, we're big on community engagement. We want to ensure that we're doing everything right and we're
Right.
hiring the right people. And the one
Right.
thing I will say that I've heard recently that's always misconstrued. We're not looking for the perfect applicant, because that doesn't exist. But we're looking for the most suitable applicant. And we understand that there's individuals that made mistakes. Like, we know that. But the thing about it is, like, you just have to understand that. And once, like my friend here said, take accountability for the mistakes that you made and just be honest.
Right.
Because you want this.
You learn from them.
So that's it. So if it's something you want, like, you have to advocate for yourself, and advocating yourself is being honest, like being honest about your history, being honest about your past, because once again, we want to build a story, a visual story, or however you want to put it, of what you did in the past, so we can, in a way, sell you. Like, it's about selling. Like, when it comes to our supervisors, they need to know that you did your due diligence to ensure that this person is a suitable, not perfect, because it's not perfect. If we were looking for perfect, we'd be looking forever, because that doesn't exist. So once again, we just want a suitable individual, male or female, whatever the case may be, that's just has integrity, high moral integrity, and holds himself accountable. And my thing is, you need emotional intelligence, man. Like, this is me.
I
being-
talk
like,
about
break
this-
that down.
on a
Break that
daily-
down.
So for me, and my understanding of EQ, emotional intelligence, is just being able to check in within yourself to understand what makes you tick, and to check your temperature, for lack of a better term. So if you're having a rough day, you can't then translate that rough day into being aggressive and
Yes.
disrespectful to other people. You need to check yourself.
Right.
And and I'm big on, when it comes to leadership in our office. And I'm going to give my man here a plug, and he didn't know this, but emotional intelligence, like, oozing from this guy. Yeah, and it's because he understands, and a lot of times emotional intelligence is probably from your upbringing and your experiences. I don't know his upbringing and experience, but I know he has high emotional intelligence, just like my supervisor as well, Amy Saunders.
Why don't you do the shout out? Who are you talking about?
So I'm talking about Puzzle. I call him Puzzle Basil, but it's professionally known as Sergeant Puzzlebon.
Okay.
He's a great dude, and I have my sergeant. I said, Amy Saunders. These are great individuals, because they said they almost instantly showed me from the beginning what a true leader, not supervisor, but what a true leader needs to be.
Okay.
And these guys speak it, like, on a daily basis, and they live it.
That's
And
right.
it's just by checking with themselves to making sure that their temperature is at where it needs to be, and then doing what they need to do for their subordinates, because that's his and her job as leaders, aka supervisors.
That sounds like servant leadership to me, right?
There it is,
and
big
that
man,
is the
there it
ability to
is.
give others. So that's amazing.
Love you, Puzzle.
Julie, same question for you. What would you say are things that, from your experiences of people
Yeah.
around you?
Yeah, so I think, like, we talk about failure as being a bad thing. I'm sure all of us have cell phones. If somebody didn't fail, we probably wouldn't have a cell phone, because they needed to make mistakes in order to make corrections to get it right. So I always say, and there's so much weight, somebody does a test and they fail, they create a story about it, right? So this is who I am. And I always say, this is how you performed on this day. That's all that it is. It's not a story about who you are. So what can you learn from that, right? What can you sit with? What can you explore? Were you prepared? Did you give it your all? Even people coming into policing, why are you doing it? Like, what's the why behind it? Are you doing it because you can get a pension and make a lot of money? Or are you doing it because you want to be of service to people? Right. And people, when they find I'm on the work for the police, they always say the police force, and I'm like, actually, it's a service.
There it is.
Right.
Right? It's
That's
the
right.
customer
Yeah,
service.
that's right.
It's not a
There it
force.
is.
Yes.
And it's really about servicing the people within your constituency. Do you have a sense of other? I call it othering, right? What do you know about other people, other community, the people that you're going to be servicing? Because York Region is very diverse. It's like the most culturally diverse, I believe, region within Canada. So how are you able to relate to other people? I've been to calls where they don't speak English, I don't speak their language, but we've managed to communicate because I have to then step out of, okay, what does that look like? Growing up in Canada speaking English, these people don't speak English, so can I step out of what I'm thinking what they should be able to do or not, and just be able to communicate and find a way to communicate with them. I think that coming into policing, having, like I mentioned before, having some type of foundation or support systems to help you through that process, because on the rough days, those are the people that you're going to lean on. And for me, it's about those are the most important people because they got you to where you are. So don't go into work and give it your all and forget about those people, because you wouldn't be there without those people.
Right.
So you need to remember that, and you need to pour into those people, because those are the people that are going to catch you during those difficult days. And Amaree talked about emotional intelligence, and for me, it's like, am I able to just have a sense of other people and how they are feeling, and not being so centered around I, but you, us, that mentality. And leadership and supervision is very different. Anybody can be a supervisor, but it takes a very special person to be a leader. Because a leader, I always say a leader is like the captain of the ship. How you walk into the office, how you greet your people, you are teaching the people below you how you treat each other. So if you walk into the office and you don't say good morning, you have somebody that you work with and you recognize they're off their baseline and you don't do a check-in with them, then you are giving everybody else permission to treat other people like that. You dictate how your household is going to run. And great leaders, strong leaders, sometimes lead from the back. They recognize, I don't have the strongest skill set in that, so I'm going to let you take the helm, take the ship, lead, and I'm going to learn from you. And that, to me, is what true strong leadership is. You dictate the flavor of the month, what it looks like, how people treat each other within the unit. And if you're modeling for people, it's like parenting. You model for your parents what you expect from them.
That's
so
right.
if you're not checking yourself and you're not doing what you expect of them, then you can't just say, well, you're doing this and this is wrong. Well, how have you shown up for them? What have you modeled for them?
That's really good.
Yeah.
Very well
that's
said.
deep.
In our organization, there you go.
Dangerous.
You got some pound. In our organization, we always tell people, aspire to be a leader, especially for those that are looking to get into policing. Because here's the reality, the community, the public, even though you may not be an actual supervisor, like an actual title, that's how they're looking at you. They're looking at you as a leader, right? A leader of the community. So the approachability factor, that's huge. So I'm really glad you touched upon those points, okay? Let's get into the fun parts right now, which is basically the physical aspect, okay? So this is a big part of the job, okay? Now, to me right now, just by optics, you guys all look in great shape.
You're a great man, brother. You're a great man, and we love you.
Yeah, I think we're part of all of us here, I think, share the 40+ club right now, okay?
There it is.
Yeah,
So-
51 actually.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Give her
That's
another one,
amazing.
brother.
Yeah,
Give her
that's
another
a big
one.
one, man.
Yeah.
That's a big
amazing.
one. That's more than oil of Olay twice a day.
Talk to her.
More
you know
than
what I mean?
that, yeah, more
Talk
than
to her,
that, yeah.
brother.
So
Talk
that's
to her.
amazing. So look, I'll tell you this again. I stated my age. I've been more in tune with, right now we're officially in the middle of our life. If you think about it.
I say I'm half of 100 plus one.
Well, exactly,
Yeah, that's
exactly,
what I say, half
exactly.
of 100 plus one, yeah.
So it's so important not just to come in and saying, okay, I'm just going to be fit just to get past the test. It should be the lifestyle,
There
right?
it is, there
so
it
I'm going
is.
I'm going to open up the floor now to everyone here, okay? So why is it important, especially in policing, to take care of your health and have a physical lifestyle so you can support what you're doing?
I'll just go quickly, and then, because we've been talking a lot, we haven't even heard Giselle speak.
Okay.
I
Go
know.
ahead. I'm listening.
Save the best for
Yeah.
last.
Yeah,
Save the
Yeah,
best
I
for
think
last.
with policing,
Gathering
I
all
like
my
what you
notes.
said, it definitely is a lifestyle change. So it's like, I'm not doing it for this one moment to get on. I'm doing it because we know the benefits to exercising our heart. But policing is a unique job where you're riding in a car on your own, but you're connected to 20 other people. So if I'm not taking care of myself, and you call me because you need me, And because I am not physically well, I can't get to you. It's not only impacting me, it's impacting you, and it's impacting my whole entire platoon.
Right.
So it's about, just, to me, it's a no-brainer.
I actually
Right? It
talk
really,
about that with
it's
the
absolutely
athletes.
a no-brainer. Like, why wouldn't you want to put a tool on your tool belt that's going to enhance your health? And if you don't like running on the treadmill, then don't do that. But find something that you're going to be moving your body, that you're going to be exercising your heart, because it will make a difference.
Video games count?
No, video
But
games.
it's true what you're saying, and I just so you have to say it's back in the day the centurions. They say why did their lifespan, why was it so long? It's because they were always moving. They're always moving, right? Always moving, right? Even if it's something like, I give an example, I tore my rotator cuff. Even though I did that, I'm doing other exercises to keep moving, right? Until I get this better. It's not gonna be, I'm just gonna park myself right now.
Exactly.
It's dangerous.
So
when
that's
you're
great.
sedentary.
I
It's
sprained my
dangerous.
ankle a couple weeks ago, so I couldn't do anything, and then I started doing a lot of mobility, because just sitting there, because you talked about energy,
Yes.
right? So that energy is just sitting. It's about moving, dispelling that energy, and you can do that within your movement.
That's good.
Most
That's good.
definitely.
So what I also took from this
Yeah.
is that if you're at all in a situation where there's a little bit of again, you have an injury,
Yeah.
surround yourself around people that are going to pump you up.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Just so, what's your thoughts on this? I mean, like, I know the camera right now is going to be gleaming at your biceps right now.
I know, right?
Giselle does a lot of right now work with a lot of people that are looking to get
Can't see her.
into the prep, right? So, Giselle, tell us a little bit about what you're seeing and what you do to help people.
Definitely. We focus on the physical fitness, and I think what's important is to look at our fitness as our safety and making sure that we recognize what we're taking out of that, and not in just that, oh, we're just doing push-ups, but through that movement is like, how do we get through that movement? How do you get through that moment, the moment of struggle? So I would like to bring in the mindset in our workouts, but also to be able to work on that physical fitness to a level that's going to help us bring it into practice when you're out on the road. So when you're having to make split-second decisions and you're having to switch from one task to another, how can we formulate a program that's going to help stimulate the athletes, but also challenge them so they're using those skills already and they're better prepared? Again, bringing in that mindfulness in terms of like how we're moving, making decisions on our heart rates being at 180, and all of a sudden you're feeling the struggle and thinking to yourself, oh my goodness, I don't think I can do this. And I've had that happen where the athlete's like, I don't think I can do. You're going to find a way to do it, whether it's that modification, okay, bring it down to the knees, but you're going to get through that moment. So now they're able to build that confidence within themselves, which I think it's important to bring into the role. Because not always we're working within a team, but we have to also bring in that leadership role and making those decisions and then bouncing back and working with the team at the same time. So there's a lot of overlap with what we're looking in terms of physical and the role of constable. So when it comes to physical fitness, the one thing is that we want to keep safe ourselves, come home, and also be able to serve our community and our team.
Okay, that's good. You guys probably hear this a lot. So I know I've heard stories from recruiters, and maybe you can share a little bit one here, Amaree, but like people will book a prep test or they'll go do the prep test, but they've never done the prep test before. So they're going in thinking, I'll give you an example. I'm actually gonna do this one day. I haven't done cardio in a long time. I do high intensity training, but I can say that I'm gonna probably film myself trying to do the prep circuit, and I know I'm gonna get winded and fall short somewhere. I think a lot of people don't understand what they walk into. Have you guys seen people just take this for granted? And meaning
Most
as in they just
definitely.
run in and
Most
then they
definitely.
fail.
People take
I
life
see
for
it,
granted.
yeah.
So if they take life for granted, which is something so sacred and so important, this is no different. And it's just for a lack of education. That's literally what it is. It's not that they don't understand, because they know it's a physical thing. Policing is very physical. Like we hear the lovely ladies talking about it and the physicalities that come with it. So in respect to taking it for granted, it's most definitely just like with everything else. So as I said, with this is like we do have these prep sessions that we invite the public. We have public ones and we have ones that are private for the schools and things. But for the public side of things, we invite and we ask that they come out. And even if they've never done it before, this is your time. This is your time to ask questions, because, sorry, just
No, go ahead.
So all it is like, it's just a lack of not knowing. So the physical part is the physical part, but there's ways, and my friend here can attest to that there's ways to be successful, but you would never know if you're just sitting at home sedentary, like I say, playing video games. Not that I do play, I'm not gonna lie.
Yes.
You know what I mean? That you're just sitting at home not being physical, like that's one thing, but you need to, once again, advocate for yourself. You practice it, you go out to our prep sessions at York Regional Police, you engage with us as recruiters, you ask those questions, you reach out to individuals that are in the know.
That's exactly what I try to say is like I look at it as the prep is our sport.
There it is.
And a football player doesn't just hop on the field and then go from 0 to 100 and not knowing what they're going to do. They're going to practice their skills. Exactly. They're going to train for that skill to then be able to be successful in that sport. So that's, people come in and they're saying, oh, I just need to repeat this. And I'm like, yes, it's good to know how to climb over that 4-foot wall. However, we want to be able to sustain that movement. And so that's part of the training, the importance, because it might not be that 4-foot wall. You might be actually jumping over another type of wall that might not have all those little cushions around it. So that physicality is going to help you just be successful.
And can I tell a quick story about walls?
Yes,
Yes.
So it's funny that you said, please do. Oh, shit. Okay. So I remember I did a secondment. I believe it was it would have been in like 06, 07. So this was years ago. And I was in our CIB, which is our Criminal Investigative Bureau. It was at 4 District on the property side. So they investigate property-related offenses. So I remember this one, I say hot call, and the guys or people in the office probably thought it was just another Monday. So we get to the scene, and it was a very dynamic thing. Like we needed to get in quickly. And this is what I was dreaming my whole entire life up until then. You know what I mean? Like you see those shows, Dukes of Hazzard, whatever shows you're watching, cops jumping out of the vehicle, doing what they needed to do. So I was so amped up and not paying attention to what I should have, which was the small things. I literally, so there was a front entrance that we went in, and some of us were going into the back entrance just to secure the scene. So I was the first one. I don't know how I was first. I guess I was so eager, I'm pushing everybody out the way. I get to the door, and instead of opening it, I attempt to jump over it. I don't know who told me to do that. So I'm hanging trying to get over. I guess I was going back to when it was 04, thinking about the 4-foot wall. This is now a 40-foot wall.
Yeah.
That was my time, but it wasn't my time.
Goodness.
So I literally jump onto the fence, and I'm hanging on trying to get over, and there's guys behind me saying, get out of the way, get out of the way. And all of a sudden, somebody did what I should have done. They checked the lock, and it was open, so they pushed it, and now I'm on the door getting...
Oh, no.
So it's just about, once again, just being present, being mindful, and you know what I mean, just being prepared.
That's it, and that
That's all
goes
it
back
is.
to that whole making decisions and why just to give you a little overview of the structure of our workout. We could start with a run, but then you're coming in and you're going to be completing in a number of high repetitions 10 different moves back to back. So now you're having to think, okay, and then I'm going to say you're going to repeat that twice. They have to remember what the first move was. Right? They can't come back to the paper every time to, okay, where am I? It's about like really thinking on the fly. What are we doing next? And knowing their timing. Okay, how many laps did I get in within that time period? Because then now you're challenging yourself cognitively, which is
And I like how you do that. I don't want to cut Julie. I know I am. I know she has greatness, but just in regards to that, would be the equivalent to us and our procedures.
Exactly.
You need to know what you need to know, because if you're on the road dealing with somebody, if I'm dealing with my man Costa, as cool as he is, if there was a situation they need me, I can be like, hey, Costa, time on it. Let me go and check my procedures to see how I can assist you. Right. We need to be up on our stuff. You need to know what you need to know. So it's exactly what you're saying.
And then when you're,
present.
having in pursuit, and then you're having to remember what happened within your surroundings. Then you got to reflect on your notes. So you got to remember everything. So now this ties into wellness. We got to check in with ourselves, keep ourselves, clear-minded and grounded, because that will help you. People will respond better and perform better when they're calm.
There it is.
Absolutely. And just to add about the preparation for the tests, like we live in a world where everything's accessible at our fingertips, right? So you can go online, you can see what it entails. And even if you've never experienced before, you can call the service and say, hey, I'm coming out for this. Is there anything, I've never done it before. Is there anything you could suggest that could help prepare me? Because that's taking initiative. And if somebody's afraid to do that, well, you're going to be dealing with members of the public. So if you're afraid to call the service to ask them a question, how are you going to deal with members of the public if you can't even speak?
It is the number one thing
you
I
can't
also
even speak
tell
to
the athletes if there's
the service. Yeah, you need to be able to voice it. So to me, in this day and age, if you want it, and it comes back to that why, like why am I doing it? Because if I want it bad enough, I'll find a way to do it. When I got injured, I wanted to stay active, so I found a way because it was important to me. So it's always coming back to that why, my motivation behind it. And if you want it bad enough, and if you're doing it for the right reasons, then you will find a way to access those services and these are resources available to you.
That's great. Well,
I'll tell one last little story. I have a particular athlete, and she recently got injured, and now I'm helping to coach her mentally to stay on track because she feels, okay, it's going to take so long to recover. I don't think this is ever going to happen. So now we're having to just go back to the root of the reason why and work through what can we do in the meantime for body movement and wellness, mental health, and using the time to build the resume.
Absolutely.
Right?
And
So,
if she thinks it's not going to happen, then it's not going to happen.
And I just wanted
you need to tell her that.
I just wanted to add something. It's funny, like you guys look great, professionally speaking. You know what I mean? But on a serious note, you guys tell that you take care of yourselves and you guys are high-level athletes. And it's funny that you said, so your story and what my colleague was saying, like, obviously fitness is important and the physical aspect of it, but you said nothing in regards to it. You were talking about the mental stuff, like the mental aspect, because that's obviously important, like when we're talking about mental readiness and things like that. So it's a blessing to hear you say that. Like obviously the fitness aspect, moving and doing all that is important, but you need to get them back to the basics.
and that ties into nutrition. That's
Most
a whole
definitely.
other.
You're looking at me when you say
whole-
nutrition?
Absolutely not. You're sharp. You're sharp. But our nutrition is going to help us think better, keep our hormones stable, and then we can perform better.
nice, nice. Well, Julie, you mentioned something about going on Google and searching how to do the prep. Well, we got something very special today.
Do it,
Today,
do it.
before we do this, we're going to actually have Gissell run the prep circuit, and we're also going to have Julie run the prep circuit as well, just so you guys can see exactly what it entails, okay? So before we do that, I do want to do a shout out to you because we had a conversation about a book. You're an author, and you've published one. How many books have you published?
Yeah, so I've self-published one children's book. I have another one coming out in May, and then I have a middle grade book coming out in 2025, one in 2026, and I'm working on a young adult novel.
Okay, great. Can you just share a little bit about this? Because I think this is amazing. And we had a little chance to talk about it, so can you share a little bit about that?
You know, when George Floyd was murdered, there was really a cry out for like discrepancies in certain industries and systems, and one of those was the publishing industry. So I was fortunate enough to connect with somebody who's kind of mentored me along the way. And I never thought of myself as a creative person because I can't even draw a straight line with a ruler, and I'm not even lying. I can't even. But there's so many ways to I guess, show your creativity, and I find that writing for me is one of those ways. So I write about joy. I write books that my children can see themselves reflected in, and sometimes I pull on experiences or people who have touched me in my work, and sometimes I write on stuff that my children have experienced. So it's just a form of me. It's like a form of mindfulness, right? That creative outlet, that I can turn to ground me, to support me in my many roles, my many hats that I wear in my life as a mother, as an officer, as a colleague, as a partner. So it's just, it's like, what do I like to say? I'm the pie, and there's many slices of the pie, and all those slices make up who I am.
Okay, amazing. That's awesome. And I love the fact that you're creative.
man, good
The name of the book coming out, you said it's in May?
Yeah, it's called When Isaac Hears the Rain.
When Isaac Hears the Rain.
Yes,
Perfect.
yes.
I
That's
love
the other
it.
one that you have out.
Timeless Love.
Where can you find it?
Oh, that is on Amazon and
Good, shout it,
chapters.
shout it, yeah,
and so
yeah.
When Isaac Hears the Rain, same thing. Timeless. I mean, Amazon and chapters, Barnes and Nobles.
Okay,
That's
I love that. I
amazing.
love it, man. There's so much. And like, let's ask you, because I don't know if you're an author as well, but
I can't write, man.
what would be one thing that people don't know about you that you thought, whatever it be, something that you like to do?
You know what, my man? I think I mentioned it to you. Like, and it's I've always tried to be this way, but I've gotten to the tender young age of 43.
Yes.
It's something I was able to kind of put it into words, but I try to be the person that I wish that I had 20 years ago when I was getting on the job. Instead, I had my good friend Julian, I had my beautiful aunt, my mom, and all those people. But once again, I wish I had a person like myself, and I know how I am, and I know what I like to do. So I wish I had somebody exactly like me 20 years ago. And now I look at things as I want to be a person that I would want to interact with on a daily basis. Because I said we're in society, and in being a police officer for 20 years, like I've never made the 6 o'clock news in that way, and I hope I never do. But unfortunately, things happen. You know what I mean? And as I said, like if it's negative, you hear about it all day. Like we're good as people as like tearing people and individuals down. You do wrong, you'll hear about it. You do right, everybody's quiet. So with me, I try to be present, and I try to be mindful of that, and I try to overcompensate on the positive side of things. So if I know you're doing something, that's why when I'm bigging you up, it's genuine, it's love, because we don't hear it enough. And my colleague here and my friend here, if I know something about you that you're doing, I try to champion you, I try to praise you, I try to clap for you, as like we say in our community.
Because when you do well, I do well.
But that's it, though. And it's not like, and we understand that the world's massive. So your success is not shining or taking my light or vice versa. And I like to say, and I just recently coined it, you can use it. If you have to wear sunglasses around me because I shine too bright, then I'm not for you.
Okay.
And I literally believe in that.
That's
Okay,
amazing.
I love
like
that. Here's what we're gonna do before we close.
Yeah.
You guys are gonna look right into the camera one at a time, and you're talking right now to the person that literally has failed the process, okay? What are the words you're gonna give him right now to inspire him? Give that camera.
So for me, as I said, if you fail, don't worry. As I said, like it's as my colleagues had said earlier, it's something that you just use as experience, and you come back and you kill it the next time. So you just need to understand what tripped you up, fix that, fix your mind, as my colleague over here said, make sure your mind is right. And then you said the physical aspect will then follow suit. So if you failed, it's not the end of the world. It means that you did it, because if you didn't do it, you wouldn't have had the opportunity to fail. And as our man Jordan said, or one of these individuals, I think it was Wayne Gretzky, like you will miss 100% of your shots if you never take that first one.
That's right.
So it's just about taking the first shot. So you guys are giving me my witness that I
Yeah,
do.
that's right. Yeah,
that's right, right?
Yeah, you
So
got
I love
it. You
it. I
got that
love
right.
you guys. So on a serious note, just if you failed, as I said, don't be discouraged. Reach out to our team. We have amazing individuals that work within our recruiting unit that are literally not literally standing by, but they're standing by the phones because we are busy. But we're standing by the phones to answer any questions that you may have, because we do want to see you successful, and understand all we request or all we require is that you do the hard work, and we'll assist you in any way that we can.
Beautiful.
I love that.
Julie.
Yeah. So, like I said earlier, your failure does not determine who you are. Don't create a story about it and suddenly make that your story. We'll hear people say, like, that person has cancer. No, they're living with cancer. They're not the disease. They are living with it, but they are not the disease. So that you are not your failure. This is just an opportunity for you to rise again. And there's a great quote by Paulo Coelho, and it says, "Fall 7 times, rise 8." Right? So it's not that you failed. It's like, what do you do with that? And that's going to be your story. That's going to define who you are, because nobody's going to remember that. Nobody remembers that Steve Jobs couldn't create the iPhone. We just know that we have a great iPhone, right? So that you create your story. You are at the council of your table in terms of how your life looks like. It's in your hands, so you get to drive. You get to drive the ship. So what is your story, right?
Beautiful. Yeah. Amazing. Giselle, you see a lot of people struggle through this session.
I do.
Phil, what would you say?
I think the number one thing is just accepting where we are and being okay with that fall, and really embracing that moment, because that's actually the moment when we grow, when we change, and we actually start to move ahead. So when we take it and we embrace it, and make our notes. What can we do to change it? What are the steps that we need to take to fix that deficiency? And then you go ahead and you work on it, because the hard work is really, and showing up is going to be what will get you to the finish line.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
To close, I'm going to say this.
Yeah.
I've met quite a few of members of YRP. You guys are awesome. Honestly,
we love you too, brother.
Yeah, like honestly, like it just keeps on. It's like keeps on getting better. Honestly, so to me, I really want to thank, first of all, what you guys do. Okay. As officers, people, the public sometimes can forget that your life is very different from theirs. You leave your house and the liability and risk is a lot higher than theirs. So thank you for literally putting your lives on the line, for serving, for protecting. It's absolutely incredible. Again, we talked about energy. It's so high. If people would like to join the amazing service of YRP, I don't want to butcher this, so I'm going to have you say it. What's the name of the website?
So our website that you would go on, it would be yrp.ca, and then there would be a tab. There was a couple of tabs, and the most important one that you need is going to be the career tabs. You then go on there, and we have amazing careers, different career paths, anywhere from police constable all the way down to auxiliary officer, which is a sought-after position as well. So you just go on the website, you just look into what you're interested in, and and one of the things I will say is we have a career portal as well. It's bang up. Like one of the ladies in our office, she was the one that takes care of that. It's a great job, and you just go create your profile, make sure you have all your documentation. And then if you have been working with a recruiter, just let him or her know of your intentions and what you have done in regards to putting the application in. And we'll mentor you and do what we need to get you successful. So once again, go out. The website is yrp.ca, the careers tab, and then we have many different opportunities for individuals from all walks for them to be a part of our service or part of our family.
That's right, and the odds are even better now because there's 4 classes a year now, right?
There it is.
And you don't even have to pay. You don't even have to pay for the fees anymore. The fees are gone right now, right?
He knows. We might try to get my man Costa on. We'll talk to him.
Amazing. Okay. Are you guys ready to?
We are ready.
You guys ready to do the prep?
They are.
Yeah?
I'm just here for moral support.
All right. Let's do it up right now. We're going to jump into the prep session and have fun, guys.
Okay, so we have Constable Thompson with us today here at the arena. We're going to be running through the prep test today. I'm going to be coaching us through the steps that are involved in the prep test. Let's get started.
So what exactly is the prep test circuit? The circuit is made up of 4 25-meter rotations. In the pursuit phase of the test, you'll run 4 laps around a 25-meter circuit as quickly as possible for a total distance of 100 meters. You're doing this while wearing a 9-pound soft weight belt around your waist and a 9-pound vest to simulate the weight of a standard police equipment. In this video, you can see the officer is wearing all her police equipment. During the first and third rotations, you will pull yourself up to look over a 1.9 meter, 6.5 fence with a toe hold, climb up and down a set of stairs, drop to the floor, and crawl under a barrier of 24 inches. During the second and fourth rotations of the circuit, you will scale a 1.2 meter, 4 meter fence with no toe holds, climb up and down a set of stairs, then drop to the floor and crawl under a barrier of 24 inches. Then you will go first to the body control simulator and then to the arm restraint simulator. Lastly, you will grasp a 170-pound mannequin by the handle behind the neck and drag the mannequin a distance of 15 meters, 50 feet, over a resistive mat and around pylons. The pursuit resistance circuit is scored as a total time from the start of the 100-meter circuit to the completion of the victim drag. For successful completion of the pursuit restraint circuit, the time taken must be 2 minutes and 37 seconds or less.
Good job.
Amazing work.
It was tough, but I knew I could get through it, and I wouldn't have been able to do it had I not continued on with my fitness throughout my career.
Thank you for joining me in today's podcast. This podcast was created for protectors in the fields of law enforcement, executive protection, security, and anyone looking to level up their mindset. If you are learning from this podcast and you're enjoying it, please subscribe to our YouTube channel at The Sentinel Mindset. That's a zero-cost way to support us. In addition, please subscribe to the podcast both on Spotify and Apple. And on both Spotify and Apple, you can leave us up to a 5-star review. If you have questions for me or comments about the podcast or guests you would like me to consider on the Sentinel Mindset, please post all comments on YouTube. I do read all the comments. Please also check out our sponsors, thearenatoronto.com. The Arena was created to help all those in the fields of law enforcement, security, and all that achieve their fitness goals. I want to thank our producer Matthew Doyle and creative supports Jaslene Singh, who help me with this podcast every week. We value your feedback and are here to support you. Tune into the Sentinel Mindset every week where we look in the mirror to make real changes and explore what it takes to achieve greatness in your craft.
This podcast is brought to you by Executive Protection Lifestyle Canada. Make sure to drop by next week and don't forget to subscribe.